Hello everybody, welcome back to 2C TV with some breaking news coming from the streets of New York City. Islamists continue to cause chaos in New York, inside and outside Columbia University. The authorities have lost control of the situation, especially since yesterday, and Jewish New Yorkers have come out to confront the Islamists and the far left. Ladies and gentlemen, we are getting all the updates over the last few minutes. This situation is still ongoing. We did report yesterday about what's been going on at Columbia University when a huge group of Islamists and the far left decided to occupy the university and the Barnard College as well, of course, the main part of it. So they decided to go into the dean's office and the corridors and block it. I had a feeling this was going to happen. The authorities lost control of that. They didn't make any arrests yesterday. So today has escalated. We now have NYPD officers trying to control the situation. If they had stopped this yesterday, we would not be in this situation. We have all the videos we're going to show you. A big shout out to Freedom News for being on the ground right there. So we're going to be able to take in the videos from them. So credit has to go to those who are on the ground, Freedom News. Let's quickly show you what the situation is, because the clashes have already started between the police, the Islamists, and also at the same time the Jewish New Yorkers who've decided to come out to fight back. Let's go to the first video, and then we're going to give you guys the details of what happened yesterday.
Let me get more patrol guys over here. But watch over there. Get
Before we show you guys the rest of the clips that we have, again, a big shout out to Freedom News for being on the ground. This is why this is happening. So yesterday, when all these Islamists and the far left occupied Columbia University, Barnard College, the authorities, so the actual administration from the university decided to negotiate with terrorists. So they basically said, we're going to talk to you guys. Those of you who have physically and violently entered and occupied our building, we're going to talk to you guys. If you could please unmask yourself, because they were all covering their faces. They said no, and the administration said, okay, cool. No arrest was made yesterday. You condoned bad behavior. Obviously, today was going to escalate. Now, NYPD officers had to come out to clean up the mess. So this is basically the follow-up from yesterday. Now let's go to the moment the Jews came out to do their counter-protest and do the face-off.
You don't even know what you're fighting for. What you guys are fighting for. Displaced 850,000 to 1 million Jews in our country. You guys are anti-Semites. Actually, you guys are the Nazis.
That's nice. Off the sidewalk. Thank you. You can go off the sidewalk.
One of them knows that.
We will not stop, we will not rest. It's closed! It's closed!
So this was the beginning. It's about 2 hours ago when the counter-protesters started to come out, and then they actually got a big crowd. They started making speeches, but at the same time, while that was happening, the Islamists, they were trying to break through the barriers and everything else. It escalated a little bit. Watch it. It's absolutely astonishing. The Islamists continue to do the same tactic. So they cause division, they cause hatred, they commit violence, and then when they're confronted, they play the victim card. It happens every single time. It happened yesterday as well at Columbia University. So obviously the police try to form a line and do barricades, and they're still trying their best to control the situation. The problem with this is that you have the pro-Palestinian side inside and outside the university. So that it was difficult because the administration of the university, Columbia, didn't manage to control it early on. So this is what you have to deal with on a Thursday afternoon. It's embarrassing. So let's quickly go to the next bit. Again, I think we have some clips from the Jewish New Yorkers who came out. Again, shout out to Freedom News. Let's go to the next.
White supremacists! Show your fucking faces! White supremacists! White supremacists!
Oh, look at this homeless man.
Show your face!
Animal!
We love bombing kids.
No, that's Hamas, you moron!
Lying about everything. You dumbass that you are.
You're sick!
She's right. They are absolutely sick. So one man was, by the way, injured last night. So the police are investigating that. At the same time, this whole situation right now, as we speak, in New York, I do wonder how many people will be arrested. As we've already seen some of the clips, a number of people have been arrested. The biggest consequence is actually not really from the NYPD or the University of Columbia. It's actually from the federal government, because under the new presidency, the White House have a new policy. They're going to hunt down every single person the moment they find out their identity, because obviously they're covering their faces, they're running away from the authorities. The moment they find out who they are, the policy is we will be revoking your student visa, or if you're not even a student, you have to get out anyway. If you're essentially a foreign visitor, you will be deported and you will be banned from returning to the United States. So these guys can go around, cause chaos now. The consequences will be coming later. Going back to what's going on, the next clip that we have, these are the counter protesters starting to make speeches.
Enough is enough. 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 What we are enough is enough. Something very, very simple. Expel the students that participated in the violent takeover of Barnard yesterday, and make space for students, Jewish and non-Jewish students, who want to come here and learn. That's it. We are not here as citizens of New York. We are not here as Jews or non-Jews. We are here as taxpayers whose taxes fund these universities through their tax exemptions, through their grants, through their scholarship. And we are saying this: either you hold them accountable or we hold you accountable. Thank you very much.
Expel them now! Expel them now! Expel them now! Expel them now! Expel them now!
That's the only policy that could work, at least short term, which is expulsion. You have to expel every single person. And those of, not everybody is a student, by the way. A lot of them came from New Jersey and other places as well, near the state of New York. These guys came from the Islamic centers and the far left organizations as well. So not every single person is actually a student, especially part of Columbia University, but you still have to do a massive crackdown anyway, especially for those who are foreign residents in the US and in New York. So that has to be dealt with regardless of the whole situation. We're going to get some reaction from you guys, but I think there is one more clip from Freedom News which we can show you quickly in terms of the speeches again.
My name is Abraham Hamra. I am a Syrian Jew, and I will not tolerate these anti-Semite Jew haters. Consequences start at home. Consequences start with parents. I don't know who these people's parents are, but I can tell you something. If my child put on a KKK robe, which is what they're wearing with the modern version of a keffiyeh, and went to harass and intimidate a minority group, you better bet your ass I will be there, grabbing my child by the ear and disciplining him or her, because consequences are needed. Consequences is how we build a society. You see, these neo-Nazis marched in and took over a building. The administration wanted to negotiate. I had bronchitis last week, so I apologize.
The United States Congress needs to pull all federal funding from Columbia. You need to take away their tax-exempt status, and everyone standing in that pen holding up hatred towards Jewish students. If you are not a citizen, if you are here on a visa, get the fuck out of our country.
That's the key point, by the way. The universities themselves must be held accountable, because these are the people who decided to accept these so-called students into their institutions. So there has to be some sort of responsibility on them. If they are not expelling these technically students, then you have to pull the funding, you have to withdraw the tax exemption status. Otherwise, there's no point. Nothing's going to change. And actually, I did say this before the election was finished, and even between the election result in November and the inauguration date, I did say things are going to get worse for a bit, because the moment Trump comes in, these guys are going to start kicking off even more than before, especially in places like New York and Chicago and similar places. So this is not really a surprise. This is just the last few attempts of desperation of causing mayhem in the United States. But obviously, Kash Patel is now in charge of the FBI. There should be investigations into how these guys managed to infiltrate with a lot of funding coming from Qatar. That part has to be completely investigated. You can see, as usual, the flags and banners and signs were all identical. This was not some sort of spontaneous grassroots. This was, in fact, organized and orchestrated. All these monies, whether it comes from the Islamic Republic of Iran, whether from the state of Qatar, or whether from organizations like Open Society with Alex Soros and all the others as well. This has to be investigated properly, otherwise the whole problem will just continue to expand, because this is a global pandemic. This is what it is. Is that there's a poison that's going around everywhere, from Australia to Canada. So this is what we're all sharing in the Western world. Let's get some reaction. We have a super chat from Carl. Thank you very much, Carl, for that, saying banning face nappies would be a start. Yes, absolutely. And at least when it comes to certain situations, including protests, the police, the whole point, by the way, the police go around with body cams trying to make sure that they are recording everything just in case something happens. So if you're covering your face, well, that just defeats the purpose of the body cams for the police, which, by the way, the cameras are there for the safety of everybody, including the other people who are protesting, if they want to remain peaceful, right? So if something happens to them, you still need the camera to see what's going on. They don't care, obviously. Blue Sapphire says, I hope their identities are exposed to the public. None of these are underage, true, and they support terror. Consequences better be damn severe. Again, we will wait for the reaction from the mayor and eventually as well the federal government. It's not really the responsibility of the federal government yet, but obviously on a national level in the US, when it comes to the wider problem, of course, it's the responsibility of the federal government, but it's the job of the states right now in New York to sort this out, and the authorities, NYPD, for a start. Super chat from Nina, thank you very much, saying anyone wearing the face nappy should be arrested in the UK and the US. Yep, I mean, these rules already exist in a number of places. Why can't we do it? Sarah says the university must have some of the blame for allowing this at their uni. Absolutely spot on. By the way, let's not forget, in countries like Saudi Arabia, they are even more robust against these Islamists. So you can't even just fly the flag of Palestine. You will be arrested. So because they know what that symbolizes. If you go to Mecca and just go around with the Palestinian flag, they know what that flag symbolizes. It's not just the flag of a country, because it doesn't exist anyway. It never existed. We know that's the flag of terror. That symbolizes terror. That's the whole thing. That's why Saudi Arabia and UAE have both banned it. There's a reason for that. If you cover your face in kafir, go around shouting from the river to the sea in Arabic in Saudi Arabia or UAE, you will be arrested. They have got the same banners. It's organized, not grassroots. No way. Yes, spot on. I mean, it has to be dealt with completely. That part of it, as I said, in terms of the funding, in terms of the organization, that's the job of the FBI. They should do it. But in terms of the actual students, those who are students, that's the job of the university. And the rest of it, again, it's the job of bring on ICE. ICE, baby. Kick them all out. If we had said what the American women were saying, we would be banged up. Well, at the counter protest, yes. You can't say things in the UK. Unless you're obviously pro-Islamist. Saudi Arabia is strict on its people, but they are also the ones who export Wahhabism to non-Islamic countries and Islamic countries. So one of the things that Saudi are now saying they're trying to reverse is that. So they are trying to, because they need to be closer to the West with all the other threats around them. So they have said over the last few years that they're not promoting Wahhabism. I mean, I don't really trust them, but they're at least they're not openly doing it. So yeah, you can never trust any of these establishments in general. But at least they know how to deal with the extremism in their own country. Now, Arthur says, when the Brits came to Palestine, you think they asked the local women to have sex with them? But all the way, who cares about brown slaves? Truth hurts. What is this? That is the most out of context, weird message comment I've seen all day. J.R. Williams says, thank you for covering this 2C from Ohio. Hello, Ohio. None of the mainstream networks are covering this like you. They're always behind. It's okay. They could learn something from 2C TV and Freedom News. Big shout out to Freedom News again. Now, Wayne says, Palestine equals Hitler Youth. Yeah, but they're not all young, so that's the problem, right? Well, it says Germany, France, Britain, Ireland, Spain. Real people stand with Israel. Yeah, and of course others as well. Don't forget about Portugal. Good country. Common Sense says, we want the world to know that Starmer is a liar. Hundreds of the UK citizens have been locked up for Facebook posts. So, this is the thing, by the way. In case you didn't notice earlier, during the visit between Starmer and Trump, you had JD Vance in the White House, in the Oval Office, and they were doing a press conference. JD Vance brought up the issue of free speech in the UK, and it all kicked off because Starmer intervened, saying, well, we have free speech. We are very proud of the history of free speech in the UK. JD Vance was just looking like, should I destroy him? And basically the advisors were like, just let him cook. And Trump was obviously, President Trump had his own approach. It was like, just let him do his own thing. And then when President Trump was asked about sanctions on the UK, he said, we'll think about it. He didn't say no. And they said, are you going to put sanctions on the UK? He was like, he didn't actually say no, which was the key point, by the way. It's like, yeah, I'll have a look at it. I'll have to look into it. So he was doing his charm offensive thing on Starmer, which is always Trump's approach. But Starmer was extremely, extremely awkward. Let me show you this. This is the moment our Prime Minister met with the president. Where is the actual thing? There we go. This is so bad. It's so embarrassing. Just look at the body language between Starmer and Trump. Trump, robust as usual. Starmer is like a wet fish. It's I don't even know what it is about him. Let's quickly watch this bit.
Ready, close. Ready, shut.
Yes, we can. We can. We will. Thank you.
It's so awkward. But that is not the biggest issue here. Because as I said, there was a point where J.D. Vance was discussing the issue of free speech. Very politely, very diplomatically saying, obviously UK is a great country, but there's been issues. And Starmer just lied to the global population, the whole world watching. Starmer decided to completely lie. Let me quickly show you. This is the moment J.D. Vance brought it up in the White House. Let's go.
With our friends in the UK and also with some of our European allies, but we also know that there have been infringements on free speech that actually affect not just the British. Of course, what the British do in their own country is up to them, but also affect American technology companies and by extension American citizens. So that is something that we'll talk about today at lunch.
We've had free speech for a very, very long time in the United Kingdom, and it will last for a very, very long time. Well, no, I mean, certainly we wouldn't want to reach across US citizens, and we don't, and that's absolutely right. But in relation to free speech in the UK, I'm very proud of our history there.
What? Okay, so there are currently people in prison in the UK for posting memes and jokes on social media. There are grandfathers and grandmothers in prison for protesting, not rioting, for protesting. Some of them for observing a protest, like literally standing on a pavement, or as Americans say, sidewalk. Don't know why, it's pavement, and watching a protest. That's what's going on, right? The Prime Minister is proud of his track record of the UK when it comes to free speech. He's a liar. He's completely... The administration, no. You could see the president's face, the vice president's face, are like, yeah, we know you're lying, but we're going to have to do this diplomacy nonsense for now. Let's take pictures and we'll send a memo, our thoughts to your advisors, to your civil servants, and that's when we're going to basically deal with you behind closed doors. Super chat from Tori Lewis. Thank you very much, Tori, for that. And yes, don't forget, for shouting at a dog, Yeah, there are people in prison for shouting at a police officer's dog. I'm not joking. That's an actual case that happened in the UK in the summer. Shouting at a police officer's dog. Now, what are the other weird cases you guys remember? Let me know in the comment section. Mary says, Starmer removed free speech. That's the thing. I mean, he didn't actually even do it by, at the time, using legislations, like removing, like adding new legislations. He just used existing powers, existing legislations. He just gave new interpretations to the police so that you can do whatever you want. And yes, obviously, as Chris says, let's not forget Peter Lynch died in jail because of free speech. Restrictions on it. Here we go. Chrissy says, not all pavement is a sidewalk. Side of the road, walkway. Not that difficult. Americans, stop saying sidewalk. Stop it. And I love the Americans. Oh, they do. The weirdest thing they say is horseback riding. Where else are you going to ride the horse? On the front? Obviously, horseback riding. It's horse riding. All right. Let's see what you guys are having. Barbarian piracy, 1.3 million European taken by jihadists, 30,000 stolen, enslaved and held hostage from the British Isles. We have to wake up, says Tori Lewis. Now, sidewalk. Here we go. The Americans are doing revolution again. Right, it's not 1776 again. Kenny says police dogs are considered as officers lawfully. Is Kenny making excuses for the police dogs now? I mean, police dogs' feelings matter. What a crazy time to be alive. I mean, there's a whole thing about not insulting or being disrespectful towards police officers or, for example, police dogs. But being sent to jail for 2-3 years, that's a little bit OTT. You know, maybe give him a fine, right? Slap on the wrist. Oh, Mark says, it is a sidewalk. Seriously. Oh, don't get me started with this. Stephen. Aluminum. Alright, let's see what else we have. Oh no, this whole live chat has now exploded. Turned into British versus American. Great. Michael says, don't say you're going outside to smoke a fag in American. Also, yeah, smoking a fag in American means something else. In Britain, it means smoking a cigarette. In Los Angeles, it means something else. Vinny says, Trump will subtly humiliate Keir. Well, he knows to make these sort of leaders, including Macron and Starmer, feel uncomfortable because they want any excuses to basically say Trump is going crazy. But by doing a charm offensive, he keeps his enemies close, friends close, but his enemies closer. And obviously, the whole issue is that they won't be able to publicly diss him. That's the point. So Starmer now has to go on TV and say this was a great trip. Oh, there you go. Australians have entered the chat. You mean footpath? Okay, with all the respect, Australians and Kiwis, just no, not today, Satan, not today. Lawrence, yes, that's another one. Fanny pack. What is wrong with you guys? Fanny pack. We got so many. Oh, we could do a whole show on this. Oh yeah, and Jenny, they get this wrong. Football is what you use your feet with the ball. That's called football. What you have, which I love the NFL, Miami Dolphins. That's not football. Stop saying Starker. Anyway, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining. If you're American, don't be offended. We always love you. I'm Maya Tusi, and we are the media.